you paying somebody to change my tire as a man because you can't, I'm looking at you crazy. You know how many don't know how to change a tire? Do you know how many don't know how to use a screwdriver? I'd rather go get a task rabbit to do it because you can't. And that bothers me. Be a man.
But hold on. Hold on.
No, I don't like.
I've never had a car before. So if you with me, I'm calling AAA. I'm just saying that right now.
But do you know how to do it?
No, I've never had a car. Where am I learning how to change tires?
Your father should have taught you.
I've never been around my father like that.
And you see how the problems is just compounding?
How is that my fault?
You see how where is your dad? I know how to do laundry. I've learned how to do laundry since I was a child. You know why? Because my mama taught me. I know how to clean because my mama taught me. I know how to cook because my mother and my grandmother and my aunts, they taught me how to cook, and other female friends. These are all things that I know how to do. Because as a woman, in certain men's head, these are things that you should know how to do. So in my head, a man should know how to fix a cabinet. A man should know how to change a tire. A man should know how to do and put things up and put them down in my house. And if you don't know how to do it, I'm questioning who raised you.
Welcome to the Chat Talkers and Seekers. It's your boy Blez once again. And as we hopped straight into it today, let me also skip the foreplay and react to the video you just watched. And right off top, the Association of Men's Egos Nationwide is downgrading the two brothers in that video for not even being able to articulate a counter-argument against the verbal assault from the African Shaniqua there. But beyond that, and now focusing on Miss Loud and Obnoxious, can we look at the irony of what's actually clearly missing from the list of things she bragged about having learned from the older women in her life? I mean, I'm sure that you talkers and seekers out there know exactly what I'm talking about. What's the use of you knowing how to cook and clean? Which, by the way, in this day and age, we all know how to do. If you missed the most fundamental lessons that your mom and grandma should have insisted on teaching you. Calmness in your voice, peacefulness in your tone and demeanor, respect toward your man during ups and downs, politeness when addressing him, not acting and speaking a fool in public spaces. And why not? A little bit less love handles to hips to faux ratio, know what I mean? So perhaps go get your junior high degree in these more important courses and then come back to giving men lessons they should never listen to anyway.
You know what they telling y'all today? You know what they telling?
This whole thing is self-preservation.
You know what they telling y'all today?
Women.
They telling y'all, give a fuck about them. Don't care. This is what they want. When you don't care and you lie to them, they love you more.
Thanks.
When you real with them and you really trying to hold them down, they don't give a fuck about you.
Thanks.
I'm telling you. All they telling you to do is to not give a fuck about them, because the dudes that slept with them and gave them the kids was the one that didn't give a fuck about them. The nice guy finished last 100 times out of 100.
But he still finishes.
Bitch, what the fuck? Bitch, what the fuck?
100 times out of 100. At some point, y'all gonna have to understand that y'all are the ones that's causing the destruction of these families and this culture right now.
So it's not the men that's creating these families and walking.
Every day.
It's
the
not
men,
the men that create these
men
families
that
and
would
walking.
let y'all choose for yourselves, y'all chose wrong 100 times out of 100.
First things first, big shots licked into the air for men like Anton Daniels for doing the Lord's work, not only on his platforms, but also by taking the efforts to often hostile corners and still school them like Louis Farrakhan classes were in session. Nah, I mean, the two brothers from the previous video could learn a thing or two from him. But anyway, this segment is about highlighting the many gems that Anton drops in his back and forth with the multicolored hair Jezebel in the clip. The bottom line that big brother Anton is bringing forth here is that men everywhere should never, and under no circumstance, design their life persona according to guidance and advice from most women out there, and especially not from air breathers and breeders like the women on the panel in that video. Why? Because they describe preferences they've never experienced, with types of men that they've never met, whom are also men that would never give them the time of day. So their advice to y'all are guided by anger, frustration, ignorance, and denial. And before we move on to the next stuff, can we take a moment to note how she actually thought she cooked by saying that good guys finish last, yes, but at least they finish? What in the hi, my name is Shelly and I hope we share the same stupidity was that about?
Qu'est-ce qu'on fait même pour le Congo?
En République démocratique du Congo.
Ça fait combien de millions de morts? Depuis combien de temps? Nous-mêmes, nous sommes en guerre. Est-ce que vous avez vu des pays africains même porter la voix pour le Burkina depuis les 10 années passées? C'est rare. C'est rare. Donc, l'Africain a ce problème-là. Pendant que quand on voit en Europe, ils ont un problème. Tout le monde est uni, les gens arrivent à rapidement trouver des solutions. Les États-Unis, c'est pareil. Mais l'Afrique a ce problème. Vous voyez, ça fait 10 ans que nous on se bat. Vous n'avez pas entendu quelqu'un porter la voix du Burkina au niveau des institutions internationales, et quoi que ce soit, ni le Mali, ni le Niger. Nos populations meurent, ce n'est pas leur problème. Congo, ça meurt, c'est pas notre problème. La dernière fois, j'ai essayé dans une de mes paroles d'essayer de parler pour que... Ça fait combien de millions de morts? Le Soudan, regardez comment il se déchire. Il y a beaucoup de conflits sur notre sol déjà et on n'arrive même pas à porter la voix. Donc, comment on va aller porter la voix des autres? Donc, il faut que nous, Africains, on se réveille.
Est-ce que le Burkina peut reconnaître un État palestinien? Est-ce que le Burkina est prêt à reconnaître l'État palestinien?
Pourquoi pas? C'est un État. C'est un État. Pourquoi on ne va pas reconnaître un État palestinien? Non, ce qui se passe, c'est très grave. Je pense que l'État palestinien existe et doit exister. Sinon, cette guerre ne finira jamais. Là où nous partons, ça ne finira jamais. Pendant que vous croyez que ça va finir, ça reprend de plus belle. Et on va continuer comme ça. Mais je pense aussi qu'il y a beaucoup de parts de responsabilité des pays autour là-bas. Parce que c'est leur région et les gens doivent pouvoir donner la voix pour trouver une solution à ce conflit. Voilà. Et quant à nous, on continue de se battre ici. L'État burkinabé qui doit demeurer, c'est ça qui est le plus important. Et on se bat pour notre État burkinabé.
First off, all manners of reverence and respect to men like the young President General Traoré, leading Burkina Faso with the pedigree all of us young kings should sweat to aspire to. Going through the many things that make this man great would require its own podcast episode, and as a matter of fact, maybe we will do that. But for today, and as you saw in the video we just played, the various dynamics at play on the continent of Africa do beg the question of why do African nations and their various regional and continent mechanisms constantly fail to advocate and mobilize to resolve African conflicts? And even more embarrassingly, why do some of the African nations and even journalists like the man engaging with General Traoré in this video even bother asking and speaking about Palestine when they fail to ask critical questions about home issues such as Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Burkina Faso, South Sudan, and a few others? Unfortunately, attempting to answer these questions would require gathering the brightest African minds in the world, giving them full freedom to speak on African heads of state, on the international leaders and entities they deal with, and then ensure those speakers get tight security detail in order to speak freely and safely. Know what I mean? And since our budget cannot afford all that, let's at least bring the good general's thoughts forward and agree with him that it is sad that African leaders rather waste time speaking if Palestine, which we all agree is facing a terrible upheaval, rather than focusing efforts on engaging with one another in good faith to fix the continent's matters. For my part, I believe that them speaking about conflicts out of African borders is just a way to deflect from their own failures to govern, in the same vein that African leaders are ensuring that the African Union be weak and toothless, so that it can never highlight what they do wrong in their respective countries and enforce anything accordingly. But that said, talkers and seekers, please feel free to share your thoughts and debate one another on all this in the comment section.
And if you really can't take it, become a hermit.